You're listening to Sweet Bites with Sandra with your host, Sandra Colton-Medici. Tune in every Thursday to satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth. Follow on Instagram at Sweet Bites with Sandra Podcast and Sandra Colton-Medici. You can also join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Sweet Bites with Sandra. Hi, I'm Sandra, and I'd like to invite you to subscribe and listen to my new podcast, Sweet Bites with Sandra. Satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth in each episode, full of digital business tips, inspiring interviews, asides from my entertainment career, and rewards to celebrate your sweet success. Find Sweet Bites with Sandra on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Welcome to Sweet Bites with Sandra. I'm so glad you're back with us, and I wanted to introduce you to my friend. Her name is Dr. Emee Vida Estacio. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Sandra. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, me as well. So let me just start with your background is so just amazing. And I actually came across you on LinkedIn. So if you are ever, trying to expand your network, I am living proof that it is possible because I literally connected with you on LinkedIn and asked you a few questions about book publishing, which we are going to get into a little bit later. But you have a doctorate in psychology. You're on a few different boards of directors that have to do with psychology, and you are also a #1 best-selling author yourself. So can you talk about what it is that inspired you to kind of just help other people?
Well, I did make that massive shift because, as you've said, my background is in psychology. I've been in academia for more than 20 years, teaching psychology, writing books about psychology, doing research in psychology. But at some point, it felt as if academia is quite limited, that I'm talking to the same people. Of course, it's wonderful to be engaging with students and shaping the field as we've done, while I was in academia. But it felt as if it's limited in that I'm only reaching fellow academics or other students who might want to go into academia. And so I've decided to write my own book, self-published books. And although I was traditionally published writing textbooks and research papers and so on, I felt that there's so much potential in psychology. We know so much about human behavior and experience that it can be applied to help others who might be stuck in a rut or feeling so much fear and anxiety. We know how we can manage these emotions. And with my background in psychology, I've decided, look, if I want to reach the masses, self-publishing is the way to go, because with traditional publishing, it takes us years before we can get the book out. Whereas with self-publishing, I have full control over the content. I have control over my time frame, the pricing, the marketing. And the thing is, when I upload my book on Amazon as a self-published author, it usually just takes me a matter of hours. And then it goes live. So in terms of the time frame, I really just want to reach out and extend my reach to the masses. And so that's when I started writing my self-published books, got to #1 bestseller that way, because I did learn how Amazon works. It's really quite simple if you know how it works. And from there, I rinse repeat, did it 3 times, always. Every time I got to #1 bestseller, and people started asking me, how did you do it? How did you write a book, publish it, and launch it to #1 bestseller? So people started asking me the same questions, and I figured, okay, let's create a course.
Exactly.
Let's create a course. And then I got some students taking the course, and they got the same results. Every single one of my students got to #1 bestseller on Amazon, and that's essentially what I'm doing now. I'm helping more online entrepreneurs, coaches, visionaries. A lot of my students are they have this burning desire to help others as well through their expertise, or whether they have a life experience that they want to share with the world through their books. They come to me, we get the book done, publish it, launch it, just make sure that they are reaching the people that they want to reach.
Right.
And that's a surefire way to get to number one when you know your audience and you have that intention to serve.
Yeah. Well, I think one of them is imposter syndrome. And the other is change your life for good or some, you'll have to
Yes,
correct
that's
me.
correct. And fear is not my enemy. So
Yeah.
Change Your Life for Good is my first book. Essentially because I did have to go through some difficulties as well. And I figured that I could use I could share the strategies that I used because of my background in psychology, but
Hmm.
also have my personal touch because I also applied those strategies myself. So I wrote about that in my first book, Change Your Life for Good. Imposter syndrome remedy. Again, this is something that I struggled with in my professional career, feeling as if I'm not good enough at what I do,
Hmm.
feeling as if I'm just fooling everyone into believing that I know what I'm doing, when in fact I actually am good at what I do, and that I got to the position where I am. I earned my PhD. I got all of these research grants. I became a lecturer, and sometimes I ask myself, why do they trust me? Why are they giving me all these responsibilities? And at the back of my mind, I was thinking maybe they're just being polite. Maybe they're just being nice to me. But that's where the imposter syndrome is coming from, me
Hmm.
thinking that I'm not good enough, and that sort of, yeah, fueled so much anxiety, so much hiding behind the mask, putting on this facade that I am an expert, when deep inside I was questioning, it's like, why are they giving me these responsibilities? I'm nobody. And I learned that this is a characteristic of imposter syndrome. It's affecting my quality of life, it's affecting my interactions with people. And when I realized that I can actually control my mind, that I can control my perception of myself, and when
Hmm.
I can reframe it, then the job satisfaction comes, the confidence comes, and
Yeah.
from there, I can just power through and carry on with what I want to do with my life and in my career. So that was the second book. The final book that I wrote was Fear is Not My Enemy.
Hmm.
And that sort of goes alongside with me making the leap out of academia, because for me academia is all I know. That's my
Right.
comfort zone. There's a lot of fear and anxiety moving into this uncharted territory of me becoming an online entrepreneur and setting up my own business. So for me, when I was writing Fear is Not My Enemy, again, I was drawing upon strategies from applied psychology, being
Hmm.
aware of the thoughts that fuel my fear, the thoughts that, oh, I might fail, or people might judge me for abandoning a successful career and going on to something that's relatively new.
Hmm.
The important thing is you need to be aware of the thoughts that you are holding and asking the questions. And again, this is something that I talk about in my book. Is it true? Is it logical? Is it constructive? So for example, for me, my thinking was, this is all I know. Academia is my comfort zone. I can't do anything else. I asked the
Hmm.
question, TLC technique, is it true? Is it logical? Is it constructive? Is it true that this is all you can do? I mean, seriously, there's nothing else that you can do apart from teaching within the four walls of the classroom? The second
Yeah.
question is it logical? Just because this is what you are doing now, it doesn't mean that you have to be stuck there. It doesn't mean that this is the only thing that you can do. And the final question is it constructive? By limiting yourself within your comfort zone, how is that helping you or others around you? How is that helping in your growth and development by limiting yourself within what you feel is safe? So for me,
Yeah.
I wrote that book, Fear is Not My Enemy, recognizing that I too am human. I experience fear as well. But with my background in psychology, I know that there are strategies that we can use to remedy the limiting beliefs that might be holding us back, that fuel your fear. And when you have that awareness, you can shift it, you
Hmm.
can transform your thoughts, therefore it will transform your behavior and eventually transform your life. So those are my three books. And even with these three books, I use them with my students, in the self-publishing made simple community. I have so many students who are experts in their own field.
Mhm.
That's why they want to write a book, but they have these limiting beliefs
Well, let's
that
talk about that. I'm going to interrupt you.
yeah.
So people might not know what you're talking about, but you have this whole self-publishing made simple course that also has its own Facebook group. So I joined your Facebook group because I saw you on LinkedIn. I connected with you there. You said, why don't you join my Facebook group? And then you actually sent me this link that was for a specific, I think it was a talk that you were giving about how to go to #1 on Amazon. So number one, you are very giving no matter what. You're not expecting everyone to buy your course. Number two, joining a Facebook group like that was really something that was like eye-opening for myself. I feel like when I joined your group and you were giving prompts about, what are you doing today? What is your week look like for your goals, all of these different things. So you have a way that you're putting out calls to action for your members in your Facebook group, but those are also part of this kind of separate entity, which is your course. So how did you develop this course? Did you sit down and just write it in a day? Or, did you take a course learning how to then make a course? Like, how did you come up with that?
Well, the thing is, like I've mentioned earlier, when I published my book, so many people came to me and asked me, how did you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just repeating myself over and over. Then I figured, yeah, maybe I should actually, produce a course, because that way I could help them in a more professional way. In terms of developing the course itself, I didn't go out and sell the course immediately. I
Mm-hmm.
put it out to my following initially. These are actually people who read my books, and many of them are also aspiring authors. So I
Mm-hmm.
had my psychology practice first. Without even the self-publishing made simple group, I didn't have a community, I didn't have the course yet. And I asked them, if I put out a course that will teach you how to write and publish a book, would you do it?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist yet. I asked them to pay for
Okay.
something that doesn't exist yet. It's just an idea, and people paid for it.
Yes.
So
Well, they believed in you.
they did, and I really appreciate that, because they've actually seen me do it. They've seen my journey, so they know that I'm not a fraud. That when
Right.
I say that I'm a #1 best-selling author and I've been through that process, they've seen it. So that's why they trusted me. And they were the same people who were asking me, how did you do it? So when I told them, look, I'm thinking about this, it doesn't exist yet, would you pay to
Mm-hmm.
be in the beta program? And people did. I actually had 12 students who signed up without anything there yet. It was just an idea. So I developed the program with them. And when it was done, it was there. They have lifetime access to it because they trusted me.
Yeah.
That was the first stage of that program. It was an online self-paced course.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, as I learned more about the needs of aspiring authors, having that information, knowing what you need to do, wasn't enough. So just having an online self-paced course wasn't enough. What people really needed was the accountability. They
Mm-hmm.
needed the structure. They needed that prompt from someone who knows what she's doing, and knows the process inside out, that I could guide them week on week. This is what you need to focus on this week. Just
Mm-hmm.
write your book, write 1,000 words this week. Next week we'll do the same. Next week we'll do the same. And
Mm-hmm.
after 4 weeks, once you've written enough content for your book, then we can start thinking about publishing. But that's the second incarnation, if you like, of my course. The
Mm-hmm.
first one was just a self-paced online course. The second one is the more interactive, more engaged one, wherein it's called the Get It Done Challenge. It's a 12-week program where we take one step at a time, week on week. There are specific tasks every week to avoid feeling overwhelmed, because writing and publishing a book is a mammoth task. It's a huge project
I
that
know.
so many authors feel paralyzed, that
Mm-hmm.
they see the project and they're thinking, oh my goodness, I cannot do this. Well,
Yeah.
actually, you can. We just need to take it a step at a time. I give the information on a Monday, tell them this is what you need to do. Come Friday, we have a group coaching call for accountability, support if they're stuck or anything like that. And then we do that for 12 weeks. And by the end of the 12-week period, they have a published number one best-selling book. And what I love about the Get It Done Challenge is because we are on it for 12 weeks, we have a community, we have a group coaching program.
Hmm.
People come in and they see that they have the same issues,
Hmm.
they have similar challenges, they have similar experiences of writing and self-publishing a book, that
Yeah.
we normalize the difficulties. They ask questions more, they engage more, and they're more motivated to do what they need to do because they're part of a community. So that's actually what makes me so happy about my program now. It's not just a static online program. That's still available though for those people who just want to take a course and know what they
Hmm.
need to do and move at their own pace. But
Right.
from my experience, what I found most successful is the Get It Done Challenge, which is a 12-week program because we go through it one step at a time. We have accountability, group coaching, and support. And all of my students, when they launch, everybody launches to number one bestseller. And as you've seen in our self-publishing made simple community, we
Hmm.
celebrate, and
Hmm.
we just we share the joy when people do launch their books to number one on Amazon.
Nice. Well, my book went to number one in the new release category for 1 hour self-help read. So I was like, ah! So I know I'm proof that what she is talking about does work. I am still working, just to get better and better at some of the techniques that you've been talking about in that group. But I do want to thank you so much for joining us. We are going to have a little bit more with Dr. Emee, in our extra bite segment. So if you are hopping off of this podcast and you've not gotten enough, we have so much more. So make sure to jump over to that, and I will put the links in the show notes. So thank you so much, Emee, for just blessing us today with some of your knowledge. I feel like there's so much that we could talk like for 6 or 7 or 8 hours on this stuff, but I don't want you to give away all of your secrets.
So much stuff to cover.
I
Yes.
know, but thank you so much.
For having me.